In the dark, black depths of the ocean, 13,000 feet below, a secret war is underway among 19 countries of the world, one that their governments do not want to reveal to their people. See this area? This is the Clarion Clipperton Zone, the main battlefield of this war, so vast that it could fit 25 countries the size of the UK. But what kind of treasure is buried in this specific region that all these countries are spending billions of dollars to reach its seafloor? In the depths of the ocean, where even sunlight does not reach, billionaires from these nations are descending with joint robotic machines that literally crawl along the seabed, extracting deep-sea rocks and bringing them to the surface. But why all this? Because the Clarion Clipperton Zone is a very famous area specifically for deep-sea mining. It's literally a money-printing machine for billionaires. According to research, this single region holds metals and minerals worth trillions of dollars. If evaluated in numbers, the estimate comes to about $16 to $17 trillion. Just imagine, trillions of dollars worth of metals and minerals lie here, among which the most in-demand metals like manganese, nickel, and cobalt, about 75% to 85%, are found here from just one source: small, potato-sized stones called polymetallic nodules. These stones are so rare that they take millions of years to form, created by nature, obviously, during which metals and minerals deposit layer by layer very slowly. The fascinating part is that these stones are spread across 9 million square kilometers of seabed in this area, with a total quantity of about 21 billion tons. And to seize this treasure, a war has begun among the world's most powerful countries, a silent and extremely dangerous war that threatens not just the health of our oceans, but our very existence. But why the sudden rush after these stones? In one line, the green energy revolution. The world is moving toward green energy to fight climate change, right? Technologies like solar panels, wind turbines, and electric vehicles are rising. But to paint our future green, we need certain critical minerals. One report says that by 2050, the demand for nickel and cobalt will increase by up to 500%. But land-based mining reserves are not enough. However, minerals on ocean beds are thousands of times more concentrated compared to land deposits. And ocean mining companies claim that if the nodules on the seabed are extracted, batteries for 150 million electric vehicles could be made. To put this into perspective, just one mining site could electrify Japan's entire car market. Another problem is that control over these minerals on land lies with only a few countries, especially China, which has an almost monopoly over mining and processing of critical minerals, or the mines are in politically unstable countries like the Democratic Republic of Congo. So Western powers like the US and Europe are troubled by this dependency, and that's why they've all jumped into this race. But think, do we have to destroy the planet's pristine ecosystems to save the planet? That's the biggest paradox of this race. To make the Earth green, we're about to turn its oceans black. So the natural question is, who controls this vast part of the ocean? Who owns these resources? The United Nations answered this in 1982. According to the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea, UNCLOS, the waters beyond national boundaries, called the area, are not the property of any single country but a common heritage of humankind. To oversee this, the International Seabed Authority, ISA, a UN body, was created to regulate seabed minerals, especially in areas beyond any one country's jurisdiction. So far, the International Seabed Authority has granted a total of 31 exploration contracts, with China currently in the lead with 5 contracts. Under these contracts, China has the right to explore an area of the ocean roughly the size of New Zealand. Today, China has advanced research vehicles like Mingjiang and mining robots like CAIYO-2 that can operate at depths of more than 4,000 meters. And China being China, it's not just working within the ISA framework, it's playing a parallel game too, striking direct deals with small Pacific nations like the Cook Islands, aggressively expanding its influence in the Pacific. Moreover, China is among the biggest funders of the ISA. With that money and technical support, it has increased its influence in the ISA to the extent that it can even block discussions on issues like marine conservation. China's plan is simple. It already controls approximately 60% of mining and 85 to 90% of processing of critical minerals on land, By gaining control over these resources in the oceans too, it aims to ensure that in the future, the US and Europe's green energy transition and defense industries are fully dependent on China, essentially creating an unbreakable supply chain monopoly to tilt global politics in its favor. This would be the first race of the New World Order in which the USA is behind China. And it's a shocking fact that America has still not ratified UNCLOS, meaning the US is not even a member of the International Seabed Authority. But yes, America is playing its own hand. Its plan is a bit different. President Donald Trump signed an executive order under which the US, through its domestic law, the 1980 Deep Seabed Hard Mineral Resources Act, can start issuing mining licenses in international waters on its own. Many countries and legal experts call this a violation of international law, because it clearly is. No one can just do whatever they want. Legal experts say this is a multilateral system meant to foster cooperation among countries, and the US's new path directly impacts that foundation. Institutions like UNCLOS and the ISA were created to ensure fair use of ocean resources. The irony is that America, one of the most powerful countries, once again wants to portray itself as a global messiah and take full control into its own hands. The US could set a dangerous example for others. Why follow rules at all? Which could spark a race to the bottom in the oceans, where different countries stake their own mining claims, drastically increasing the risks of conflict and even wars. And this race isn't just between China and the US. Russia, Japan, South Korea, France, Germany, and many others also hold exploration contracts. The crown jewel of this mission is Matsia 6000, an advanced submarine that can take 3 people down to 6,000 meters beneath the sea. Isn't that amazing? But personally, one worry nags me. This race, this politics, everything is happening in a place we still barely understand. The deep sea is a vast unexplored region of our planet. In fact, many studies say that the Clarion Clipperton Zone hosts 5,000 to 6,000 species found only there, 88 to 92% of them crawling along the seabed, yet for us, they remain unknown and undescribed. How do we know? In 1980, some digging was done in this very area, just as a test, and the entire ecosystem was devastated. 70 to 80% of species were destroyed, so much so that even after 45 years, it hasn't recovered. We often think the deep sea is a single ecosystem, but that's a big mistake. Just as Bengal tigers live in India, kangaroos, ostriches in Australia, and polar bears in the Arctic, the deep sea has even greater diversity. Each trench, deep undersea canyon, hosts distinct species evolved only for that world. You won't believe it, but if a blue whale dies at the surface, its 150-ton carcass sustains thousands of creatures as it sinks, not for a day, but for up to 50 years. First, big predators, sharks and large fish, feast on the meat. Then scavengers, crustaceans, mollusks, eat the leftovers, then worms consume almost everything, and finally, whatever bones, fat, and decaying material remain are colonized for generations by chemical-eating bacteria that produce large amounts of hydrogen sulfide gas. This is called the sulfophilic stage. Hydrogen sulfide is a perfect food for deep-sea microbes, which are then eaten by tube worms, which are eaten by squids and fish, and the cycle continues. Disgusting yet beautiful, right? Did you know there are toxic lakes in the deep sea? Toxic for us, of course, but home to many creatures. They're called cold seeps or brine pools. Lakes inside the ocean sound strange, right? That's because they are made of brine, extremely salty water, 5 to 6 times saltier than seawater, so it literally sinks within seawater because of its higher density. There's no oxygen there, and methane, other gases, and minerals accumulate in abundance. These pools are toxic to many animals, yet this very poison is food for certain bacteria. Shellfish circle these pools to feed on those bacteria, then crabs, shrimps, and fish eat the shellfish, and even sharks come to feed. It's a textbook example of how even a tiny ecosystem connects to a larger food chain on which many lives depend, for decades and centuries. The 1980 mining operations already proved this by destroying 70 to 80% of species and their ecosystems, still not recovered after 45 years. The unfortunate part is that despite so much clear evidence, a powerful lobby openly denies it, like the metals company, TMC. The most ironic thing, the same TMC had scientists conduct the initial deep-sea research, but when the bitter truth came out, they tried to suppress it. Are dollars more important to these billionaires and companies than the ocean's fragile lungs? As of June 2025, the good news is that despite heavy pressure, massive spending, and lobbying by mining companies, most deep marine scientists, and with confidence, 33 countries support a ban or at least a temporary hold on deep-sea mining. That's why the International Union for Conservation of Nature, a global authority, has placed a temporary hold on deep-sea mining until we properly understand all the risks associated with it. But the bitter truth is that deep-sea mining is just a small trailer of human negligence. Look at this area, it's as vast as 2 Pakistans, but it isn't land, it's a pile of trash. Yes, 2 Pakistans, or 3 Rajasthans worth of garbage floating in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. And that's just the concentrated heap, where trash is extremely dense in the water, and in some areas, almost solid-like concentrations. If you include the soft edges, the patch becomes bigger than India. A 2014 study found at least 5.25 trillion pieces of plastic here, with a total weight of about 269,000 tons. Because of just this one patch, you won't believe it, every year, about 1 million seabirds and 100,000 marine mammals die, either by ingesting poisonous materials, getting trapped in plastic piles, or entangled in drifting nylon fishing nets. The most concerning part, this isn't the only garbage patch in the world. There are at least 5 major garbage patches globally, and countless minor ones. Consider a story of a retired naval officer and researcher, Victor Vescovo. In his 5 Deeps expedition, he set out to reach the deepest points of all 5 oceans. When he arrived there, plastic bags and wrappers welcomed him.
But as I continued going along the bottom, cruising around, I did see what appeared to be 1 or 2 particles of man-made matter, and one of them had a letter on it, printed.
Just imagine, plastics have reached 11 kilometers below the surface, into deep ocean trenches. The biggest problem is that these plastics will never disappear, never naturally degrade. They'll keep accumulating for centuries, which is toxic for fish and their ecosystems. The way we're behaving carelessly, multiple reports suggest that by 2040, the amount of plastic in the oceans will triple, meaning there could be more plastic than fish. And that's just macro, large-size, plastics. Microplastics will multiply even faster. According to a 2017 study, today 71% of seabirds and 30% of turtles have plastics and microplastics in their stomachs. 50% of those animals die from suffocation because of it. A Portland State University study found traces of microplastics in 99% of fish that Americans were eating. Another study found microplastics in 100% of fish samples. Because of this, the situation today is such that an average person consumes 78,000 to 210,000 microplastic particles every year through food and drink. In a study by the University of New Mexico on 51 brain samples, each brain contained more plastic than a credit card, about 5% of brain mass, 6 to 7 grams of pure plastic, roughly the weight of a credit card, inside the brain alone. Imagine how much would be in the lungs, kidneys, and other organs. And note, this test was done on Americans. In Indians, or in our case, the amount could be even higher, because we all know the state of regulations. Microplastics are being found even in the placentas of newborn babies. How might this be affecting children's growth and development? Human civilization is literally running at a horse's pace today, while the regulations that protect nature are being written slower than a turtle, debated for years, and only implemented when it's already too late and too dark. We humans have become the greatest enemies of nature, the very nature that gave us birth. We are about to do to our oceans what we have already done to the land. This is no longer just about a few pennies of global influence, it's about the very existence of nature. First forests, then mountains, then glaciers, and now oceans. When will we humans stop? If we cannot maintain peace even beneath the seas, where is humanity headed? Every treasure comes at a price. So the only question is, this time,